jet-lagged and restless. I was scrolling through my phone in the hotel suite when a bizarre post on some fringe message board caught my eye. Billionaire bloodbath. Inside the Westwood murder. On July 30th, 2025, at 10:30 p.m., the sole heiress to the Westwood Corporation, on a business trip in Chicago, was decapitated. Her head was discovered in the mini fridge of her suite. The killer? The late CEO's secret illegitimate son, who gained access posing as a food delivery driver. A chill ran down my spine. I'm the sole heiress to Westwood Corporation. I am in Chicago. But my father never had a secret son. And it's July 30th right now, but my phone reads 10 p.m. The post claims this murder will happen in 30 minutes. How could a news alert from the future appear on my feed? I told myself it was just a sick prank. Then a sudden thirst hit. I walked over to the mini fridge for water. When the door swung open, I froze. The interior, the perfectly arranged miniature liquor bottles, the sparkling water, the lone can of Coke Zero, matched the crime scene photo to the letter. And the spot where the head was supposed to be, between the gin and Perrier, was empty. The doorbell chimed. Food delivery. A man's voice called out, muffled by the thick door. My heart slammed in my chest. My first instinct wasn't the door, it was my phone. I hit speed dial for my security detail. I hadn't ordered food in years. When I travel, I book suites for isolation. All meals come from the hotel kitchen. No delivery driver would ever be allowed on this floor. The post flashed through my mind. Every detail, the person, the place, the timing, lined up with horrifying precision. A death prophecy? The knocking grew louder, impatient. Flat hand slaps, then bang, bang, bang. Hello? Delivery. You need to get your food. The voice was rough, gravelly, like a man in his 50s. Relief washed over me. This couldn't be the killer described in the post. My security team was a floor below. They'd be here in a minute or two. My tension eased slightly. The knocking stopped as I approached the door. Silence. Holding my breath, I peered through the peephole. The hallway was empty, bathed in the warm glow of sconces. Then, bam, bam. Two explosive hits shook the door. At the same time, a face appeared in the peephole. A bloated, greasy-skinned man with a double chin and bloodshot eyes stared back. His lips peeled into a grotesque, mechanical grin. Bam, bam. Two more blows. He knew I was there, hammering at the door as though trying to smash it with his palm. My knees buckled. And then the tone changed. The pounding stopped. A low, soft voice replaced it. Hello, your delivery. I'll just leave it here at the door, okay? The scuff of shoes. Tap, 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 fading. He was gone. Moments later, heavy footsteps approached. My security team had arrived. A line of men in dark suits, an imposing wall of protection. I let out a shuddering breath. Relief gave way to fury. The penthouse of a 5-star hotel. And security this week? They let any lunatic wander the halls? I stormed to the front desk. My voice was sharp. After a moment, the manager responded, confused. Ma'am, we've reviewed all security footage from the last half hour. Every elevator to the penthouse, every service corridor, every fire escape, nothing. No one in a delivery uniform entered the penthouse floor. Elevator logs only show your security team arriving. Hallway cameras show no suspicious movement. The manager paused. When he spoke again, his voice carried a faint tremor. And ma'am, we also have no footage of the deliverman you described ever leaving. Vum. A cold wave surged up from my feet to my skull, flooding every nerve. Not on the cameras? He never came up, never went down? That could only mean one thing. He'd been on this floor the entire time. A deep, primal unease took root in my stomach. Without hesitation, I texted my head of security. Call the police. My guards were stationed outside my door now, the men I'd personally selected, each one trained, disciplined, lethal if necessary. Until the police arrived, I told myself I was safe. I let my shoulders drop slightly. The adrenaline left me shaky, skin slick with cold sweat. I went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, changed into clean clothes, and tried to calm my pulse. When I came back out, I sank onto the sofa, staring blankly at the city lights.
My phone was still in my hand.
Without thinking, I unlocked it and froze. That same post had reappeared at the top of my feed. This time, I didn't dismiss it. I read every word, line by line, and then I saw the date at the top. July 30th, 2035. 10:45 p.m. 10 years in the future. My breath caught. Every other post on my feed was dated today, July 30th, 2025. But this one remained unchanged, no matter how many times I refreshed it. It wasn't a rumor. It was a report. A future report. The post described how the murder went unsolved for a decade. The supposed killer, the late CEO's secret son, took control of Westwood, dismantled the company, sold every asset, and vanished overseas. The police never caught him. And my mother, she'd been declared unstable, committed to a psychiatric hospital by that same man, under the guise of grief. 6 months later, she was found dead. I couldn't breathe. A suffocating dread filled my chest as I scrolled to the comment section. The top replies made my blood run cold. Post is wrong. The son didn't kill her disguised as a delivery driver. He hired the driver. It was a setup.
Exactly.
The heiress had private security. No delivery guy could get that close. The real killer was already inside the suite. Inside the suite. Inside the suite. Those 3 words tore through me. Every drop of warmth drained from my body. My silk pajamas clung to my skin, soaked in cold sweat. My eyes flicked to the top corner of the screen. 10:29 p.m. The murder happened at 10:30. The thought barely formed before a dull thump exploded at the back of my skull. A wave of searing pain burst across my vision, and a warm, metallic liquid streamed down my face. My blood. Then, the cold kiss of steel. A serrated blade sliced across my throat. I tried to turn, to see, but a hand gripped my head, and another clamped over my mouth. My scream never escaped. So the post was real. And the victim was me. The world tilted, my body collapsing into the spreading pool beneath me. My thoughts blurred into static as darkness swallowed me whole. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in the hotel bed, unharmed. A phantom ache pulsed in my neck and skull. My hand shot up, no wound, no blood. Only my phone, still clutched in my trembling fingers. The screen glowed. The same headline stared back at me. Billionaire bloodbath. Inside the Westwood murder. The time read 10 p.m. I was back 30 minutes before my death. My pulse roared in my ears. The killer wasn't outside. He was here in this suite, right now. I forced myself to breathe.
Think. Stay calm.
No phone calls, they'd make noise. Instead, I sent a text to my head of security, another to my contact at the Chicago PD. A second later, the doorbell rang. Food delivery, the gravelly voice called. This time I knew. He wasn't the killer. He was the distraction. I didn't move. I couldn't. But I also couldn't let whoever was inside realize I knew the truth. So I forced my shaking hand to my lips, took a slow breath, and whispered to myself, "Play along." I pitched my voice to sound annoyed, casual, someone who had no reason to be afraid. "Sorry, I didn't order anything. You've got the wrong room." Then I slipped in my AirPods, pretending to scroll aimlessly and ignore the persistent knocking. My eyes, however, were scanning the room, every shadow, every corner, the velvet curtains, the walk-in closet, the marble bathroom. "Where are you hiding?" The pounding stopped. Footsteps receded down the hall. Just like before, my security detail arrived moments later. Everything was unfolding exactly as it had the first time. I unlocked the door and stepped into the middle of my guards, their formation closing around me like a living fortress. As we moved toward the private elevator, a faint sound whispered behind me, a rustle, soft but deliberate. I turned. In the dim corner of the living room, I felt it, a gaze. Not seen but sensed. Focused, heavy, unblinking. "Go.
Now."
I barked, my voice trembling. I didn't dare look again. The men moved instantly, surrounding me and hustling me toward the elevator. The door slid shut, sealing us in steel silence. Only when the elevator began its descent did I finally exhale. And when the armored town car door closed behind me with a solid thud, the illusion of safety wrapped around me again. We pulled out of the garage and into the glowing sprawl of Chicago at night. I'd survived. I'd changed the ending. I'd done it. The tension began to ease from my shoulders, until I made the mistake of looking at my phone. The post had returned, still pinned to the top of my feed. A cold weight sank into my gut as I scrolled down. There were new comments now. "Damn, the heiress was smart. She almost got away. Too bad she still died. She really thought getting in the car meant she was safe. What a shame. She still died. She thought she escaped." My breath hitched. A cold terror spread through me, paralyzing my limbs. Slowly, I lifted my head and looked around the car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bodyguards. I only hired 6. A chill slithered down my spine. Every man was dressed the same. Black suit, earpiece, dark glasses, even at night. I studied their faces. Every one of them was familiar.
How could that be? Think.
Stop the car, I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. Marcus, you stay with me. The rest of you, return to the hotel and assist the police. Search the penthouse floor. Marcus, my father's old pick, loyal beyond question, gave a sharp nod. The driver pulled over. The doors opened. The 6 men stepped out, forming a neat line before jogging back toward the hotel. They looked perfectly normal. But as they turned, one of them glanced back at the car. His eyes didn't meet mine. He was staring at the car itself. I didn't have time to wonder why. Marcus, drive. Take me to the nearest precinct. Fast. He slid into the driver's seat and gunned the engine. I sank into the leather, drenched in cold sweat. Now it was just me and him. The city lights streaked by outside. My reflection in the glass looked ghostly pale. I'm safe. I have to be safe now. My phone screen glowed faintly. 10:28 p.m. 2 minutes to go. I closed my eyes, inhaled, and forced myself to breathe. Then, a breath of cold air brushed against my ear. My body went rigid. There was someone else in the car. The realization struck a split second before the attack. A hand, rough, gloved, impossibly strong, snapped around my throat from behind. Another hand, gripping a blade, slashed across my neck in one clean, brutal motion.
Schlick.
A searing burst of pain. A spray of warmth. It happened so fast, so silently, that Marcus didn't even have time to turn before the blood hit the dashboard. My vision dimmed. Marcus's horrified face appeared in the rearview mirror, eyes wide, mouth open, but no sound came out. My phone slipped from my hand. The screen flickered. 10:30 p.m. 10:30. Again. There were only 2 people in the car. Marcus hadn't moved. So who else was here? The thought dissolved as the world went cold. And once more, everything went dark. I woke again in the hotel. First instinct, check my phone. 10 p.m. Same cursed post open. But something had changed. The headline now read, Billionaire Bloodbath. Inside the Westwood Murder. On July 30th, 2025, at 10:30 p.m., the sole heiress to the Westwood Corporation was murdered on a business trip in Chicago. Her head was dumped beneath the East Pier of the Grand Avenue Bridge. The killer? The late CEO's secret illegitimate son. The Grand Avenue Bridge. That was exactly where I had been killed in the car. It wasn't a closed loop. Things could change. There was hope. This time, my plan was refined.
Call the police.
Alert security. But I only summoned one person, Marcus. After everything I'd just survived, I knew he was the only one I could trust. As before, I ignored the decoy deliverman. When Marcus arrived, I slipped out of the suite, ensuring no one followed, and led him toward the service elevator. In the underground garage, I refused to take chances. The town car was out. Instead, I picked the smallest sedan in the fleet. Marcus ran a full sweep, flashlight tracing every seam. Under the car, the wheel wells, the trunk latch, even the engine block. All clear, Ms. Westwood. Exterior secure. No attachments, no tampering. Then he checked inside, under seats in the trunk, glove box, sun visors. Interior clear. We're secure. A small relief settled in my chest. The car was tiny, few places to hide. Let's go. Nearest precinct. Now, I ordered, sliding into the passenger seat. Marcus started the engine. The city passed silently outside, headlights slicing through the dark. I kept my eyes on every shadow. Behind the seats, the headrests, the door seals. He was focused, mirrors constantly sweeping. I glanced at my phone. The post was gone from my feed. A surge of hope swelled. Had I finally broken the cycle? 10:28 p.m. 10:29 p.m. The police station loomed ahead. Traffic slowed. Red light. Our car nearly stopped when a plume of hot, fall air washed across my neck. A low, cruel chuckle whispered behind me. Impossible. It was just me and Marcus. He was driving. And yet, 2 icy hands shot through the narrow gap between the headrest and seatback, locking around my throat like iron. Air vanished instantly. Marcus turned, eyes wide with terror, fumbling at his seatbelt, trying to reach the back seat. Too late. The blade found my neck again. In the final flicker of consciousness, my phone lit up. Somehow, it had opened the post again. The comment section scrolled, each new entry dripping with malice. Man, this heiress was so careful. Still died. So tragic. The killer initially intended a single strike, but she enraged him by resisting. He dismembered her instead. Cut her into 1,000 pieces. A freezing certainty clawed into me. The loop wasn't just repeating. It was evolving. And the killer, whoever he was always one step ahead. I woke up again in the hotel. 10 p.m. The same sterile ceiling above me, the same dread tightening my chest. I reached for my phone. Of course, the post was waiting. The headline had changed. Heiress dismembered, her body scattered in thousands of pieces, exactly like the last comment I'd read. By trying to escape, I'd only made my killer angry. My fate had become even more grotesque. A dull ache spread through me, deeper than before. My eyelids felt heavy, my limbs drained. Each resurrection left me weaker, like something inside was eroding piece by piece. Despair pressed down like lead. I'd called the police, checked every route, avoided every trap, and still, I couldn't break the loop. For a terrifying second, I wondered if my killer was even human. But the post had mentioned my father's secret son. That meant he was flesh and blood. So how was he doing this? Forget it. If I had infinite resets, then I'd use them. This time, I went public. I texted the police, then called my entire security team to my room. Together, we marched to the hotel lobby. At the front desk, I demanded an announcement to every guest in the building. Anyone who came down, started a live stream pointed at me, and kept it running all night would receive a direct wire transfer of $100,000. Within minutes, the lobby filled. A cleaning lady scoffed. You? A little girl like you giving away 100 grand? I don't buy it. Asked for her account details and sent her 50,000 as proof. The reaction was instant. Gasps, screams, flashes of phone cameras bursting to life. The lobby lit up like a red carpet premiere, hundreds of lenses fixed on me. I started talking about business, finance, anything to keep their attention. But all the while, I scanned the crowd, every face, every reflection. 10:15, 10:28, 10:30. My heart hammered. I was still breathing. It worked. The killer couldn't touch me under 1,000 watchful eyes. Police sirens wailed outside. For the first time in any loop, I was alive to see them arrive. I told them about the decoy on the penthouse floor, the man disguised as a delivery driver. Minutes later, 2 officers emerged from the elevator, escorting a greasy, middle-aged man in cuffs. As he passed, his eyes flicked up and met mine. That smirk, cold, knowing, sent a shiver crawling down my spine. It wasn't fear I saw there, it was mockery. I didn't relax. Even past 10:30, I stayed in the lobby, surrounded by a forest of streaming phones until dawn. I paid every participant, just as promised. Exhausted but alive. I turned to Marcus. Police precinct.
Now.
No private cars this time. We took the first city bus of the day, empty, quiet, almost peaceful. Sitting in the back, watching the city wake, steam curling from food carts, I felt the first faint loosening of the knot in my chest. When the bus hissed to a stop at the precinct, we stood and headed for the rear exit. The street outside was empty, washed in the pale light of dawn. My foot hit the pavement.
Schlick.
A burning pain tore through my throat.
Blood.
So much blood. My vision spun, the world tilting red. Marcus shouted my name, his voice distant, echoing. With the last of my strength, I turned my head. I caught a glimpse of a hand pulling back, a hand marked with a crescent-shaped scar on the wrist. Marcus was beside me, frozen in horror, staring at the space just behind me. By the time he moved, I was already falling. Darkness swallowed me whole. Cold air filled my lungs again. The weight of death receded. 10 p.m. My trembling fingers reached for the phone. The post had changed once more. Years-old cold case of Heiress's murder remains unsolved as killer evades capture. My blood ran cold. By changing the time, the place, and the method, I'd made my own murder unsolvable. The killer had escaped justice. At least now I had something, a clue. A crescent-shaped scar. The live stream plan had worked, temporarily. It bought me time but not freedom. I couldn't live under constant surveillance. The moment I stepped out of the light, he would find me again. I needed to find him. My hands shook as I pushed myself upright, my body screaming in protest. Each reset drained more of me, left me closer to collapse. If I failed again, I might not come back. This was it. No more hiding, no more waiting for death. I would unmask him, no matter what it took. This time, after texting the police, I decided to repeat one of my past failures.
The car plan.
It was the only loop where the killer had slipped, where his perfection cracked for a single, fleeting second. That moment when 6 men somehow became 7. That was where he had revealed himself. When my security team assembled, I studied each of them carefully, my eyes lingering on their forearms as I gave orders. No scars. Everyone with me. We're going to the precinct, I said, keeping my tone brisk and authoritative. We went down to the garage, to the long black town car waiting under the fluorescent lights. I sat in the middle of the back seat, Marcus to my left. 2 men beside us, 2 across in the rear-facing seats and 1 behind the wheel. The car rolled forward. I watched the rear-view mirror like a hawk. 6 men. I counted again. Still 6. Bright cabin lights illuminated everything, and the car was too small for anyone to hide. For the first time, I almost believed I might make it to the precinct alive. 10:25. 10:28. Then a cold ripple of dread slithered through my chest. Something felt wrong. I looked up at the mirror. The man seated directly across from me, the one in the rear-facing seat, was watching me. Our eyes met. His face was tense, conflicted. It wasn't the look of a killer, but of someone fighting an unbearable truth. Beneath that mask of composure, there was pity. And suddenly I remembered. In the second loop, when I'd ordered the team out of the car, he was the one who'd looked back with that same expression. The same haunting mix of fear and guilt. This man knew something. I opened my mouth to demand an explanation. Pain exploded through my throat. GHK. A blade had been driven clean through the base of my neck from behind. The wet, tearing sound filled the car as blood splattered across the seats, painting the leather red. The man opposite me froze, eyes wide with horror as I gurgled helplessly, choking on my own breath. And in that instant, staring into his terrified face, I understood. He wasn't the killer, but I finally knew who was. Darkness swallowed me whole. When I came to, I could barely move. My entire body felt like wet paper, my strength leaking away with every breath. I caught sight of myself in the mirror, hollow cheeks, dark circles bruising my eyes. This was my last chance. I could feel it. I remembered the revelation that had come to me in that dying instant, and a cold tremor ran through me despite the warm air of the suite. I summoned the entire security team and went straight to the lobby. Same setup. Same bait. A mass live stream. Open to anyone awake in the hotel. Anyone who recorded and streamed the night would get paid. Hundreds came, phones raised, their screens creating a halo of light. 10:15. 10:28. 10:30. The police burst through the doors. This time, I didn't send them upstairs. I stood perfectly still, forcing calm into my trembling voice, and pointed straight at the man beside me. "Officer," I said clearly, "arrest him. He's attempting to commit murder. He's carrying a concealed weapon." The lobby went silent. Dozens of phones swiveled toward Marcus. He stared at me, disbelief twisting his features. "Ms. Westwood, what are you saying? Why are you doing this?" I ignored him, stepping closer. My hand pressed against his back, against a strange, hard bulge under his tactical vest that no normal human anatomy could explain. "Take off his jacket and vest," I said quietly. Marcus's face flushed crimson.
No.
"That's an order, Ms. Westwood. This is humiliating." The officers ripped the fabric open, and the world stopped. A wave of collective horror spread through the crowd as gasps cut through the air. Under the bright lobby lights, the truth was laid bare. Grafted to Marcus's back was a desiccated, humanoid figure. Its leathery skin clung to bone, veins snaking from its body into his flesh. It had no legs, only a shriveled torso, arms, and a head. In its claw-like hand gleamed a dagger, and on its wrist, a crescent-shaped scar. A cold smile curved my lips. "That face," I said softly but clearly enough for every camera to hear. The monolid eyes, the flat nose, it's the spitting image of my father. Marcus's eyes widened in shock. "Ms. Westwood, please. I don't look anything like the chairman." "Ms. Westwood." My body is not normal. But I swear to you, I've never betrayed you, he shouted, his voice cracking as tears spilled down his face. Save it for the police, I said, my tone sharp as glass. Officers, you'll find a deliver man hiding on the penthouse floor. Check the payment records between him and Mr. Marcus. I'm sure you'll find them enlightening. And then the lobby erupted into chaos. The withered thing clinging to Marcus's back suddenly stirred. Its leathery skin began to expand, veins pulsing beneath the surface. The ashen flesh flushed red, filling out with horrifying vitality. Within seconds, the shriveled husk had reshaped itself into a living man, dark-skinned, eyes gleaming with poisonous fury. At the same time, Marcus's body caved in like a punctured balloon. His once powerful frame shrank, his muscles collapsing as his skin sagged and lost color. Screams erupted around us. I stared at the man who had emerged, recognition crashing through me like a jolt of electricity. A pair of conjoined twins, one living in plain sight, the other hidden beneath his brother's clothes, waiting to strike from the shadows. They had shared one life, alternating between light and darkness. And I had seen this second face before. He'd once served as one of my guards. Kill her. The Westwood fortune is ours, the dark-faced twin roared, his voice raw and inhuman. Using Marcus's weakening body for balance, he lunged, dagger flashing toward my chest like a viper's fangs. But this time I was ready. At the last second, I twisted, yet instead of dodging, I moved deliberately into the path of the blade. Steel pierced my side with a wet, tearing sound. White-hot pain exploded through me. I stumbled, blood soaking my dress, but my expression didn't waver. The agony was worth it. This time, their crime was caught on hundreds of cameras. They could no longer claim innocence. They would rot for the rest of their lives. Police! Freeze! An officer shouted. In a flurry of motion, the twins were tackled to the ground. The two bodies struggled briefly, then went limp under a swarm of officers. Handcuffs clinked. The crowd's terrified gasps filled the lobby. As Marcus was hauled to his feet, he turned to me with hollow eyes. How did you know? He rasped. I pressed a trembling hand to my bleeding side and met his gaze, but said nothing. He didn't deserve an answer. The truth was, I'd begun to suspect long ago. Marcus had been present at every one of my deaths, yet he'd never raised a weapon himself. Somehow, he was always both innocent and guilty. It took countless loops to see what was really happening. His hidden twin, living beneath his clothes, had been the one striking from behind each time. The first time, the killer hadn't been waiting inside the room. He'd slipped in right behind me when I opened the door for Marcus's team. The second time, in the car, when I'd counted 7 men instead of 6, it was because his twin had surfaced for a moment, his face half hidden in shadow. Every death after that had followed the same pattern. Marcus stood before me as a decoy while his brother crept from behind to deliver the killing blow. And the others, the rest of my security detail, they must have known. They followed orders, pretending loyalty, but their true allegiance was to someone far more dangerous, my late father. It wasn't until the final loop, when I desperately searched for the killer among the guards, that I saw it. In the reflection of another man's eyes, I caught a glimpse of Marcus's jacket shifting unnaturally behind me, something moving beneath the fabric. Now, looking at him, I saw it clearly. The resemblance. That same sharp jawline. Those same eyes. My father had assigned Marcus to me 10 years ago, not as protection but as surveillance. He'd been keeping his secret sons close. Marcus's face twisted in rage. The mask fell away completely. "Who do you think you are, Grace Westwood?" he screamed, spittle flying. "Everything you have should have been ours. We're his sons. What can a woman like you do? Why should you inherit everything?" His words hit me like venom, but I held my ground. "And if you'd just married the man your father chose," he snarled, voice breaking, "none of this would have happened. Father was planning on giving the company to us. But you kept getting in the way, hoarding every key project, keeping clients close, playing the perfect daughter for the cameras. You trapped him. This company should have been ours long ago." I let out a short, sharp laugh. I stepped toward a guest still filming and spoke directly into the camera. "My name is Grace Westwood. And since we're airing dirty laundry, let me set the record straight. Since I was a child, I pushed myself to be the best. I was never out of the top 3 in my class. My shelves are lined with academic trophies. To help my father, I went to Wharton and earned a dual degree in finance and international trade, all so I could help him run this company. In the year since I joined Westwood Corp, our annual revenue and profits have both more than doubled. It's not that I refuse to let go of key projects. It's that, without me, there was no one else capable of running them. I turned back to Marcus, no, Edward, and Thomas, a faint, victorious smile on my lips. I am here today not just because I am my father's daughter, but because I, Grace Westwood, am smarter, more capable, and better at this than anyone else. Do you understand now, you pathetic little secrets? Their faces contorted with rage, their hands twitching as if they might strike. Don't you act so high and mighty, Edward, posing as Marcus, roared. This was Father's plan. He told us. He said if you ever ended up in charge, it would be because you forced his hand. He gave us his blessing to remove any obstacles. A sharp pang struck my chest, not from the knife wound, but from the weight of their words. I let it pass. I smiled. And what good did it do you? This is still my company. This is still my chair. Enjoy your prison food, boys. The sirens wailed as they were led away. Only later did I learn their real names. They weren't Marcus, or anyone I had thought. My father had named them Edward and Thomas. Edward for the glory of the family, Thomas to continue the line. Edward and Thomas Westwood. Everything else unfolded as I had expected. The decoy deliver man confessed everything, detailing his dealings with Marcus, or rather, Edward. In court, the evidence was overwhelming. Hundreds of cell phone recordings captured their crimes in brutal clarity. The judge's verdict was cold, definitive. Edward and Thomas Westwood, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and multiple other charges. Life in prison. No possibility of parole. The first thing I did upon returning home was change my name. I legally shed the Westwood surname and took my mother's maiden name, Sinclair. From that day forward, the Westwood Corporation became the Sinclair Corporation. The first official act of the newly christened company was to notify Edward and Thomas in prison. The news enraged them so thoroughly that they refused to eat for days, screaming into the void. Their mother, who had lived quietly overseas on my father's fortune, had her black card declined the next day. She flew back to the United States in a panic, asking everyone she could find where the Westwood headquarters was, demanding to see the CEO. She scoured half the country and found nothing. Eventually, she returned to Chicago, still searching. But there is no Westwood Corporation anymore. There is only me, Grace Sinclair.